The first category or the first topic we're going to look at today is digital transformation. And I've asked Ian from Verint to present this category first because every single contact centre is going through digital transformation. Some will be doing it in a best practice way. They'll be adopting new technologies that help both their customers and their staff. Some will be lagging behind. But it touches on so many other aspects of the report and so many of the other things that we're going to be talking about today. So really to set the scene for everything that we're going to be hearing today, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ian from Verint. Long walk.
Yeah, thanks. So, thank you, James. So, my name's Ian Harrison. I realise that picture up there looks like a lot younger version of me, which is sort of good. So we're here to talk about digital transformation, and it's a big topic. So many of you will have a different understanding of what digital transformation is all about. Currently, in the current climate, you probably feel like digital transformation is all that we hear about when it comes to AI and bots and so on. But what I want to do is just chat about some of the high-level themes of digital transformation, some of the results that we've assessed from digital transformation from the survey. So for those of you who didn't participate in this part of the survey, what we basically said is, or we asked a whole lot of questions of some of the senior managers around the country in terms of what technologies they were using to address certain digital transformations, how well they thought they were using those technologies and what their capability was. And then we asked them to actually define which technologies that they thought would address the certain challenges they had. So what you're going to see is a whole lot of results in that space. But firstly, what I wanted to do is just talk a little bit about why. So why do we want to focus on these technologies? And let's set the scene a bit. So if we think about our customers, what we're really wanting the customers to do is to feel really understood, to feel like they're treated with white glove service. Nowadays, it's not good enough for every customer to feel like they're treated like a big mass of people. They want to feel like they're special. They want to feel like the organisation knows who they are and they get treated in a seamless way. And we want them particularly to feel like every interaction with the organisation they're dealing with is a positive one that drives their satisfaction and keeps them loyal to the organisation. The flip side of that, of course, is the employee. So we all know that our employees are starting to feel like they need more and more technology. They want to feel like they've got things at their fingertips that are going to allow them to work from anywhere, to be able to perform at their best, and make them feel like the organisation they're working with is one that's really looking after them and they're going to feel loved. Particularly thinking about recruitment, we all know nowadays it's easy for employees to shift themselves from one place to another. It's pretty easy to take a job in another state for another organisation and stay in the same chair you were in last week. So we want the employees to feel like they're being supported effectively. So we want to do this for three key reasons. So the first one really is how do we give the customers this feeling like they're being cared for in a unique and special way. So we want them to feel they have a personalised approach to their support. We want them to feel like it's seamless in particular, but also we want self-service to be able to be provided very quickly via an application. We want the customers to feel like they only authenticate once and then the organisation knows who they are in all their dealings. And we want them to feel like everything's nice and automated and flows through. From an employee perspective, in many ways it's AI support for the employees, but also it's about the pathway for the employees in their career. They want to be able to feel like they can work well from wherever they are and that they're given the support they need and the learning and the development as they go through their career with the organisation. So let's get on to some of the results. It was interesting, all of these came out as very high or high in the survey results. So analytics and insights. Everybody thinks this is really important. So how do you use analytics and insights to drive appropriate conversations and understand those conversations with our customers? Self-service that actually contains and resolves the queries that the customers have. We all know those stories where self-service starts and then ends up in the call centre. Or the customer's actually on the self-service platform and calling you at the same time because they're not sure that they're going to get the right level of support. So you want self-service that actually works, has smarts and retains the customer in that. Knowledge management. We all want this feeling that knowledge is provided to the agent at the right time, contextually driven by the conversation that the agent's having with the customer or by where the agent's at using the computer. No point having knowledge that isn't easy to access and timely delivered to you. And then interestingly, the highest rated thing there, single agent view desktop. So the agents want all the information at their fingertips in a seamless way so they can interact with the customer. They have to put the customer on hold. They know what the customer said on the website or in the chat session, etc. So let's just quickly deep dive into some of these results. So as you can see there, 74% said that this was the most important thing, but only 39% of the respondees said they were actually optimising on the insights and analytics space. And 19% said they weren't doing anything, which is a bit of a shock. Sadly though, even those people that do have lots and lots of insights and analytics in their organisation, they're not actually doing a lot with them. So they're looking backwards saying, well, this is what happened yesterday, not how can I take these insights and analytics to improve my self-service retention rate, or how can I improve this process and stop the friction that's coming through and disengaging my customers. So that means we want to have insights coming through that look a little bit like the ones we're seeing on the screen here. We want to be able to know which insights and what experiences are impacting the sentiment that the customers have. We want to be able to break that down by the category and the customer. And we want to be able to understand even their sentiment by employee and rank these things on visuals like this so we can really understand the performance of what's happening in our contact centres. And if we can start getting this information, these insights start driving self-service. This is what drives the AI. This is the smarts behind the scenes. There's no point in having technology if you don't have insights and brains to drive it and take it to the right level. So self-service itself, as I said, we really want containment. It's all about holding the customer in that channel and making sure that we can interact with them. And we want the self-service to be the most effective it can in having that conversation, not just a transactional interaction for the customer. So you can see here, scarily, 28% of people said that they had no plans or doing nothing when it came to self-service, which is obviously a huge challenge if you've can't recruit people fast enough, your call volumes are going up, and you want to move things to self-service, you haven't got a channel, and you haven't got an investment in that space. So what we're starting to see nowadays is self-service where the customer is able to interact with a channel like this one here, where it's actually answering questions backwards and forwards for the customer. So it's almost as if the AI is interacting with the customer as if they were a human. And I love that idea where somebody gets off the chat session, like my mother-in-law the other day, and said, I had this really good conversation with this person. And I said, you realise that was an AI-enabled bot? And she's like, well, what's that? I didn't want to try to explain that to her. But that sort of experience is what we're after. We're trying to get this backwards and forwards interaction rather than just a transactional. It's like a conversation with smarts enabled. And you can see here, you can actually, this airline here, you can do your whole booking with this airline via this messaging platform. And they currently do 90% of all their interactions with their customers is via this channel. So knowledge management. So as I said earlier on, knowledge to me is all about real-time contextual knowledge delivered to the agent desktop that's relevant to where that conversation with the customer is at. You don't want the agents having to pull up knowledge repositories and document repositories and put the customer on hold to try and find information. That's not knowledge. We want knowledge that's smart, it's contextual and it's self-learning. And whilst 72% are saying that it's really, really important and 44% think they're practicing optimising, I would seriously doubt that that's actually practicing or optimising AI-enabled knowledge with context-driven information. So there's a lot of work to be done in that space. So you want the knowledge to provide information really simply, really easily to the agents. We want the agents to be able to pull up the information and talk to customers in a way where you're able to control the versions of the knowledge and keep it up to date and drive that and constantly improve it and provide the content grouped in the right way that makes sense for the conversations the agent's having with the customers. And there's some really clever solutions out there, and you'll hear a little bit more about knowledge management later on this afternoon. So single view agent desktop, this is probably my favourite area to focus on. As you can see, 76% of people said it was the most important. 27% aren't doing anything at all and have no plans. And to me, actually, this is the future. This is what it all looks like when it all comes together and all the channels are integrated and orchestrated completely and seamlessly. So what you start to see in this sort of environment is an agent bot, a virtual agent responding to the customer queries and answering questions and able to integrate all of these channels together. So for the first time, you start seeing the web channel, the messaging channel, the voice channel, all those channels all coming together, and the agents are able to have all that information presented to at the fingertip, and the customer is able to interact with the virtual agent and then be handed over seamlessly to the physical agent in a contact centre and via another channel. So you can see here that the intelligence behind this platform is able to interact with the customer and have those queries and start driving all that information to the agent so that it's seamless and it's straightforward for the customer and will retain the customer in that space. You can add things like notifications, you can bring all of this together, and then the customer feels like they've had a fantastic experience, but in many cases they've never spoken to a real person. And then it can hand over, as you saw here, to another channel such as WhatsApp or SMS and provide status updates to the agent as we go through. I don't know about you, but I've never found a chat platform where you can start asking it questions like this and you are able to resolve your concerns about your daughter's booking, for example. So we want to make this feel like a really personalised experience, and goes back to that white glove customer service. So key things. First thing I'd recommend is that you adopt a customer-centric engagement channel strategy. Now that sounds like a mouthful, but basically it says voice is not enough, messaging is not enough, and that by the time you figure out what your solution is for messaging or something else, technology will have overtaken you. So digital transformation, it's happening all the time. So for all of us, we need to remember that there are constantly evolving channels, and you need to orchestrate and understand all of those channels. And once you've figured out what they all are, you need to know what people are saying in each one of those channels. There's no good running speech analytics on voice. You need to understand your text, you need to understand Microsoft Teams, you need to know what people are saying by the messaging channel, etc. You need to then engage your workforce seamlessly, because you need to have customers, and you need to understand that customers are going to be going to the branch, the store, the call centre, the back office, talking to a bot, and you need to be able to put all that information together, and you actually need to start rostering people in a store, people in a call centre, people in the back office, and you actually even have to roster bots. So the latest solutions now do workforce management of those resources across the board. And I sort of just said this, scale customer interactions with bots. In other words, think about how you can resource and spread the load of your work across people and technology at the same time. And remember that technology is great for handling didactic, two-way conversations, but the long-running process stuff, the complex queries, the case management things, that's where you need real people to focus on adding value and looking after real customers who need care and support. Thanks, James.
Sorry, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Questions from the audience, got a few. Zoe's asked, how do you find the balance between digital transformations and cyber security or privacy? We want to make it easy and customer-centric, but still protect ourselves.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the comments in the slide I didn't read, the detail is exactly that. So it's all about how do you look after the customer's information in the most secure fashion. And it's absolutely the challenge is data security and cyber security and so on. Obviously, is a huge focus in most organisations. So I'd say you make sure your data cyber security people are really across everything you do when you implement these solutions. But again, most of the vendors who implement them are doing it on large scale and usually have all the relevant cyber security accreditations and so on underway anyway.
Billy asks, Ian, are there any cool technologies in the experimental or trial phase that you think will impact the market over the next 2 to 3 years?
Gosh, I think there's tons and tons coming. Many of them probably we haven't even thought about yet. I think the really interesting one is going to be how things like ChatGPT and others are used in contact centres down the track. And again, you'll hear a little bit more about that later on. My favourite probably is that whole channel automation thing that I showed at the end there, and perhaps some voice enablement of that as well. So you're talking to the channel, and it's routing you and interacting with you back and forth via voice as well. I think would be an exciting development.
Anonymous asks, despite all the automation and self-service, why do call volumes just keep increasing?
Wouldn't we all love to know? Well, I think the big challenge, of course, is that we're basically not seamless enough and frictionless enough with our customers, and customers' expectations are exceeding the level of the organisation. Really, when it comes down to it, none of us would be here if everything was perfect, because customers would never ring and never interact with us, because it would all be done beautifully. So until we remove the friction points and automate the simple stuff, customers are still going to call. And until they feel 100% trusting in the interactions you've got with them, they're going to ring because they don't trust that the other technologies are solving their issues.
That's right. And someone just asked in the chat, will the slides used in today's presentation be made available? The answer is yes. We're going to have the whole report. We're videoing today, and the slides will all be put on a digital platform. So don't get writer's cramp. You'll be able to access this in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to thank Ian from Verint.